Brothers and sisters of wisdom, let us speak with clarity and reason, as the Stoics have taught us. In a world that is often driven by unchecked emotion, let us remember the guiding principles that help us remain steady, calm, and virtuous. Our relationships, whether with men or women, must be governed by virtue, not by desire, fear, or fleeting impulses. Today I offer you 9 reflections, 9 things you must never do when navigating relationships with women, if you seek peace, self-mastery, and true strength. 1. Never compromise your self-worth. Your self-worth is the foundation upon which your life is built. It is not something to be handed over easily, nor should it be swayed by the opinions or expectations of others. In a world where validation from external sources often feels like the only measure of success, it's vital to remember that your worth is inherent, not conditional. You must never compromise it for the fleeting approval or attention of anyone, regardless of their position or influence in your life. To compromise your self-worth is to give up the most precious part of yourself, your integrity, your principles, and your peace of mind. When you seek approval, constantly altering your behavior or values to meet the demands of others, you allow the external world to dictate your inner world. This creates a dangerous cycle of dependence, where your sense of self becomes entangled with the opinions of those around you, leaving you vulnerable to disappointment, frustration, and a loss of personal identity. Self-worth is not earned through external validation or material success. It is grounded in understanding your own values and embracing them regardless of what others think. When you define your worth by your own standards, you are free from the volatile nature of external judgment. Your worth is not tied to how others see you, but to the person you are at your core, the actions you take, the character you uphold, and the integrity you maintain in every situation. The Stoics teach us that we must be impervious to the fluctuations of external praise or criticism. Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, reminds us that you have power over your mind, not outside events. What others think of you should not disturb your peace of mind because their judgments are out of your control. You alone are responsible for your inner world, and it is in maintaining this sense of personal sovereignty that true self-worth is realized. In practical terms, this means never compromising your core values for the sake of others' desires. If someone expects you to behave in a way that contradicts your principles, you must stand firm, no matter the consequences. It is better to walk away from a situation or relationship than to sacrifice your self-respect for temporary approval. Self-worth is about consistency, about knowing who you are and living authentically, regardless of whether others accept you or not. When you uphold your own worth, you cultivate a life of true freedom. You are no longer a prisoner of external opinions, but a sovereign of your own mind and choices. Your actions, choices, and decisions will reflect the unshakable belief in your own value, and in this you will find peace. Never compromise your self-worth, for it is the one thing that belongs solely to you and defines the quality of the life you lead. When you embrace your own value, you create a foundation that is solid, unyielding, and immune to the chaos of the world. 2. Never seek external validation. Seeking external validation is one of the most insidious traps you can fall into. It is a pursuit that promises temporary satisfaction but ultimately leaves you hollow and dependent on the approval of others. When you rely on external sources, whether from people, society, or circumstances to define your worth, you surrender your power and autonomy to forces beyond your control. In doing so, you place your happiness and sense of self on unstable ground, always subject to the shifting tides of external judgment and praise. The truth is, external validation is an illusion. It is fleeting and often meaningless, rooted in the desires, expectations, and opinions of others. No matter how much praise or recognition you receive, it will never provide the lasting fulfillment you seek. It is a momentary high, like a drug that fades just as quickly as it comes. Once the external validation disappears, so too does your sense of value. You find yourself in a cycle of constantly seeking more, chasing approval from people who may never truly understand or appreciate the essence of who you are. The more you seek it, the more you lose sight of your true self. True validation can only come from within. When you look to others for affirmation, you give away your personal power and undermine your own judgment. You allow others to dictate how you feel about yourself, letting their fleeting opinions shape your entire sense of worth. If they praise you, you feel good. If they criticize you, you feel bad. This roller coaster of emotions is exhausting and unreliable. External validation is not a reflection of who you are, but a reflection of someone else's perspective, a perspective that may be distorted, incomplete, or influenced by factors that have nothing to do with your true essence. To break free from the cycle of external validation, you must learn to look inward. The Stoics teach us that the only thing we can truly control is our own mind, our own thoughts, and our own actions. Marcus Aurelius in his Meditations often reflects on the importance of focusing on one's own character instead of being distracted by the opinions of others. When you cultivate self-awareness and confidence, you come to understand that your value is inherent. It is not dependent on what others think, but on how you live according to your principles, how you respond to life's challenges, and how you stay true to your values. This does not mean disregarding feedback or refusing to learn from others. It simply means that your worth is not tied to that feedback. You can take constructive criticism and grow from it, but it should never make you question your fundamental value as a person. You should not seek approval in the form of praise or recognition to feel fulfilled or accomplished. The satisfaction you seek is found in knowing that you are living in alignment with your deepest values and acting in accordance with your purpose. The more you rely on external validation, the more you give up the power to be content within yourself. When you seek validation, you are essentially waiting for someone else to define your worth. This places your peace of mind in the hands of others, people who are fallible, unpredictable, and often unaware of the internal battles you fight. In contrast, when you validate yourself, you take ownership of your life and your happiness. You become the sole authority on your worth, independent of the opinions or expectations of others. This is not a call for arrogance or self-centeredness, but for deep, quiet self-assurance. It is the recognition that you are enough as you are, not because of what others say, but because you know who you are. When you cultivate this inner confidence, you free yourself from the exhausting pursuit of validation and step into a life of authenticity and self-respect. You can move through the world with a sense of purpose and integrity, unaffected by the approval or disapproval of those around you. So, let go of the need to seek validation from others. Instead, focus on living a life that aligns with your values and principles. Your worth is not something to be earned from external sources. It is something that is intrinsic to you. It lies in your actions, your character, and your inner strength. Embrace this truth, and you will find peace and fulfillment that no external praise or recognition could ever provide. You are enough just as you are. And that is the only validation that truly matters. 3. Never sacrifice your principles. To sacrifice your principles is to betray the very core of who you are. Your principles, those fundamental values that guide your decisions and actions, are the compass by which you navigate through life. They are what set you apart from the chaos and confusion of the world, providing you with a steady sense of direction. When you compromise on them, even in small ways, you compromise on your own integrity, eroding the foundation that supports your personal growth and your peace of mind. In the end, sacrificing your principles not only weakens you internally, but also undermines the respect you deserve from others and yourself. Principles are not arbitrary or temporary. They are the result of deep reflection, life experiences, and a clear understanding of what is right and just. These are the truths you come to hold dear regardless of the circumstances. When you are faced with difficult choices or temptations, your principles act as a shield, guiding you toward actions that align with your true self. But when you abandon them for convenience, for short-term gain, or to please others, you lose the integrity that makes you who you are. You no longer live authentically, but as a mere reflection of external pressures and expectations. To live according to your principles requires courage and strength. The world will constantly test you, and there will always be situations where the easier path may be to bend your values, to give in to what is popular or socially acceptable, or to avoid the discomfort of standing firm. However, true wisdom comes from understanding that living in accordance with your principles brings a deeper, lasting peace than any temporary satisfaction gained from compromise. By staying true to your principles, you preserve not only your integrity but also your ability to look at yourself in the mirror with respect and pride. The Stoic philosophers, such as Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, emphasize the importance of living with virtue and staying true to one's ethical foundation. They believe that our actions should always reflect our core values, regardless of how others may react or what external rewards might seem available for us. When you act in harmony with your principles, you create a life that is rooted in truth, consistency, and self-respect. In contrast, when you sacrifice your principles for fleeting desires or to avoid discomfort, you begin to unravel the very fabric of your character. This sacrifice often starts with small, seemingly insignificant compromises where you tell yourself that bending the rules just this once will not matter. Yet each time you choose to abandon your principles, you reinforce the habit of doing so, making it easier to let go of your integrity the next time. What starts as a minor deviation can snowball into a pattern of behavior that slowly erodes your moral foundation. Eventually, you may find that you have compromised so much that you no longer recognize the person you have become. Remember, the strength of your character is measured not in how you behave when things are easy, but in how you stand firm when faced with temptation or difficulty. True success lies not in material gain, but in living a life aligned with your values, even when it means facing adversity. You may encounter challenges, and you may have to make tough decisions, but it is in these moments that your principles will shine the brightest. By upholding them, you build a life of honor and authenticity, one that will bring you a deeper sense of fulfillment and peace. To never sacrifice your principles means that you take responsibility for your own actions. You do not bend to the will of others, nor do you give in to external pressure. Your choices reflect who you are at your core, and this alignment between your inner values and outward actions creates harmony in your life. In the end, it is this consistency that fosters self-respect, and it is this respect that leads to lasting happiness. By adhering to your principles, you also set a standard for others. People will come to know you for your honesty, your integrity, and your unwavering commitment to what is right. You will inspire others to live by their own principles, creating an environment of respect and authenticity around you. This is the true power of living with integrity. Not only does it strengthen you, but it elevates those who interact with you, encouraging them to hold themselves to the same high standard. There will always be challenges, and you will always face moments where it seems easier to compromise. But remember that in these moments, your principles are your greatest ally. Stay true to them, and you will emerge from every test with a sense of inner strength and dignity. In a world that often values convenience over conviction, your commitment to your principles will make you a beacon of authenticity and courage. Never sacrifice your principles, for they are the bedrock upon which a life of true fulfillment is built. Stand firm and let your values guide you toward a future of integrity, peace, and self-respect. 4. Never let desire govern you. Desire, in all its forms, is a natural part of being human. We all experience desires, whether they are for material possessions, recognition, status, or intimate connections. Yet there lies a profound danger in allowing desire to govern us. When we let our desires control our thoughts, actions, and decisions, we lose our true freedom. Instead of mastering our desires, we become enslaved by them, chasing after things that are fleeting and often hollow. The Stoics understood this all too well, and they taught us that desire, when left unchecked, can cloud our judgment, distort our priorities, and pull us away from our higher purpose. Desire, by its very nature, is insatiable. It can never be fully satisfied because the more we give into it, the stronger it grows. At first, it might appear harmless, maybe a desire for success, a better life, or even a deep connection with another person. But if left unchecked, it can turn into an unrelenting force that takes over every part of you. It consumes your time, your energy, and your thoughts until your actions are no longer motivated by wisdom or virtue, but by the pursuit of that next thing you crave. What you once believed would bring happiness or fulfillment now becomes the very thing that prevents you from attaining peace. When you let desire govern you, you begin to seek external things for internal fulfillment. This is a dangerous path because external things, wealth, approval, pleasure, are all fleeting. No matter how much you accumulate, there will always be more to want. The satisfaction that comes from fulfilling desire is temporary and ultimately unsatisfying. It creates a cycle of craving and seeking that never ends. At some point, you may realize that the very things you thought would make you happy only left you feeling empty, unfulfilled, and perpetually yearning for more. The true cause of this emptiness is not the absence of what you want, but the inability to control the desire itself. The Stoics teach us that freedom comes not from the fulfillment of desire, but from the ability to detach ourselves from it. Freedom is found in understanding that we cannot control the world around us, but we can control how we respond to it. We can choose to rise above the pull of our desires and remain anchored in reason, virtue, and inner calm. The Stoic path is not one of denial, but of moderation. It is about recognizing that while desires will arise, we do not have to act on them. We do not have to let them define our actions or dictate our happiness. True peace is found in mastering our desires, not in the pursuit of their fulfillment. When we give in to every whim and fancy, we are like a leaf tossed about by the wind, vulnerable to every external force and circumstance. But when we learn to control our desires, we take back the power over our own lives. We no longer live in reaction to the world around us, but with intentionality, making decisions based on what truly aligns with our values and purpose. Consider the simple joys of life, the beauty of nature, the satisfaction of a job well done, the connection to others based on mutual respect and understanding. These things do not come from satisfying desires, but from living in harmony with our own nature and with the world around us. When we stop chasing after what we do not need, we open ourselves to the deeper, more lasting forms of happiness that come from within. This is the kind of happiness that does not fade, no matter the external circumstances. To never let desire govern you requires constant vigilance and self-awareness. It demands that you regularly assess your motivations and intentions, ensuring that your actions are driven by wisdom, not by the desire to acquire more, to be seen, or to please others. It means taking a step back when a desire arises, reflecting on whether it truly serves your greater good, and making the conscious choice not to be ruled by it. It is a practice of self-restraint and mindfulness, where you learn to distinguish between what is necessary and what is merely a passing craving. In this way, you develop resilience against the ever-changing tides of the world. No longer will you be swept up by the pull of desires that lead you away from your true path. You become the master of your own mind, steady and unshaken in the face of external temptations. This is not to say that desire is inherently wrong, but that it must be recognized for what it is, a force that must be managed, not worshipped. Ultimately, living a life where desire does not govern you means embracing a life of intentional simplicity, where contentment comes not from what you have or what you attain, but from who you are. It is the knowledge that you are enough in your own right, without needing to chase after anything outside yourself to feel complete. In this you find a deep and enduring peace, a peace that is unshaken by the world's endless promises of more, better, or different. By not allowing desire to govern you, you reclaim your power, your freedom, and your ability to live a life of purpose, virtue, and lasting fulfillment. 5. Never fear to walk away. There are moments in life when the path forward seems unclear and decisions become heavy with uncertainty. In relationships and work, or even in personal pursuits, we often find ourselves holding on to situations that no longer serve us. Fear of the unknown, the discomfort of change, or the weight of social expectations can create a powerful resistance to walking away. Yet to live a life of true freedom and integrity, we must recognize that there are times when walking away is not only necessary but an act of self-respect and wisdom. To fear walking away is to trap yourself in a situation where your growth and well-being are stifled. It is to remain in an environment or relationship that brings you pain, confusion, or stagnation simply because you are afraid of the consequences or of what others may think. The truth is, staying out of fear is far more damaging than leaving, for it allows you to continue to endure situations that are misaligned with your true self, preventing you from living in accordance with your values and purpose. Fear often masquerades as practical caution, making us believe that walking away is a sign of weakness or failure. But this is a fallacy. Walking away, especially when done with clarity and strength, is a reflection of inner wisdom. It is the recognition that you are not obligated to remain in circumstances that compromise your well-being, your principles, or your peace of mind. It takes courage to face the reality that not every situation or relationship is meant to last, and to embrace the idea that letting go is not an end, but rather a necessary step toward growth and liberation. There are times when the cost of staying far outweighs the benefits of leaving. You may find yourself in a job that drains your energy and spirit, in a relationship that is toxic and unfulfilling, or in a personal project that no longer aligns with your purpose. The longer you stay out of fear of failure, fear of being judged, fear of the unknown, the deeper the cost becomes. Not only do you risk losing your peace, but you also lose your potential, for your energy is diverted toward maintaining something that is no longer true to you. By holding on, you limit your own growth, denying yourself the chance to seek something that truly resonates with who you are and what you are meant to accomplish. There is a certain strength that comes from knowing when to let go. The Stoics, in their wisdom, understood that to live a virtuous life is to act in accordance with nature, and sometimes that means accepting the impermanence of things. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us in his Meditations, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. If something stands in the way of your inner peace, happiness, or growth, the Stoic response is not to force it into place, but to recognize that it may be time to move on. Accepting that life is in a constant state of flux means understanding that people, circumstances, and phases will come and go, and there is no shame in walking away when it no longer serves your journey. There is liberation in walking away. It is the realization that you are not defined by any one situation, relationship, or outcome. You are not bound by the past, by the expectations of others, or by fear of what lies ahead. You are free to move forward, to choose anew, and to seek out opportunities that are aligned with your deepest values and aspirations. Walking away is an act of empowerment, for it allows you to reclaim your agency and direction in life, no longer confined by a situation that restricts your potential. When you fear walking away, you cling to the illusion that staying is the only path to success, happiness, or fulfillment. Yet, often the opposite is true. By choosing to walk away, you make room for something better, something more aligned with your true self. You open up space for new opportunities, fresh perspectives, and deeper growth. The fear of the unknown may still linger, but it is in the act of walking away that you take control of your future and begin to create a life that is more authentic and meaningful. This fear of walking away is often rooted in our attachment to outcomes. We fear that by leaving we will fail, or that we will miss out on something important. Yet, in truth, staying out of fear of failure only guarantees stagnation. By walking away, we give ourselves the chance to fail forward, to learn, to adapt, and to grow stronger. It is often in the discomfort of walking away that we discover new strengths, new possibilities, and a deeper understanding of what we truly value in life. When you choose to walk away from what no longer serves you, you choose to honor yourself, your time, and your energy. You refuse to waste your precious life on situations or people that drain you, that hinder your progress, or that demand you to compromise who you are. In walking away, you affirm your right to live a life of purpose, authenticity, and alignment with your core values. You demonstrate the courage to prioritize your own well-being and personal growth, knowing that this is the only way to create a life of true fulfillment. Fear will always exist, but it need not dictate your choices. It is the wise individual who recognizes that fear is simply a signal and invitation to confront what lies ahead, not an obstacle to avoid. Never let fear keep you trapped in situations that hold you back from the life you are meant to live. Embrace the courage to walk away, knowing that in doing so you are creating the space for something far greater to emerge. Walking away is not a retreat. It is an advancement toward a life that is truer to who you are and what you are meant to become. 6. Never be slave to emotion. Emotions are an inherent part of being human. They are the reactions and responses that arise within us as we encounter the world, often providing us with a sense of connection, motivation, or understanding. However, when we become slaves to our emotions, we allow them to control us, shaping our actions, thoughts, and decisions in ways that are often irrational and fleeting. To be a slave to emotion is to be at the mercy of an unpredictable force, subject to the whims of our feelings, rather than acting with clarity, purpose, and reason. The true strength lies not in denying emotions, but in mastering them, in allowing them to inform us without allowing them to govern us. Emotions can be powerful forces, and when unchecked, they can create chaos in our lives. We may experience anger, jealousy, fear, or sadness in response to events that occur, and while these emotions are valid, they can lead us astray if we let them dictate our behavior. Take anger, for example. In moments of rage, we might lash out in ways that we later regret, hurting those we care about or making decisions that harm our long-term interests. Likewise, fear can paralyze us, preventing us from taking necessary risks or making bold decisions, leaving us stuck in situations that are less than ideal. When we allow ourselves to be consumed by emotion, we act out of impulse rather than intention, and often find ourselves in situations where our actions do not align with our deeper values. The Stoic philosophers, in their timeless wisdom, teach that we must not allow our emotions to dictate our responses to the world. They do not deny that emotions exist, rather they urge us to cultivate the ability to recognize and understand them without becoming overwhelmed by them. Seneca, for instance, advises that we should not let ourselves be ruled by anger, for it blinds us to reason and distorts our judgment. He writes, "Anger, if not controlled, can be the source of great harm, for it steals our ability to see things as they truly are." When we are in the grip of strong emotions, our capacity to think clearly diminishes, and our decisions are often driven by impulses rather than logic. To be a slave to emotion is to give up your power to act with reason and purpose. Instead of responding to life's challenges with thoughtful consideration, you react impulsively, governed by the intensity of your feelings. The emotional person does not pause to reflect, they act immediately, often in ways that only escalate the situation. Whether it's a harsh word said in anger, a hasty decision made in fear, or a fleeting desire acted upon without consideration, the emotionally driven response is rarely one that serves our greater good. It is a knee-jerk reaction, guided by the turbulence within, rather than the calmness of clear thought. It is essential to understand that emotions, though powerful, are often temporary. They come and go like waves, ebbing and flowing as circumstances shift. The key is not to suppress emotions, but to recognize them for what they are: temporary states of being that will pass if we give them space without allowing them to dictate our actions. Instead of letting fear paralyze you, recognize it as an emotion that signals caution, but does not require you to stay frozen in place. Instead of allowing anger to control you, acknowledge it, and then choose to respond with understanding rather than reaction. Emotions are not inherently good or bad, it is how we respond to them that determines their impact. Self-mastery is the ability to recognize when emotions are rising and to consciously decide how to respond. The Stoic practice of mindfulness and self-reflection allows us to step back from the immediate impulse and view our emotions objectively. By doing so, we can choose the course of action that aligns with our values and goals, rather than acting out of emotional impulses. When we master our emotions, we no longer become slaves to them, but instead use them as tools to help us understand our deeper desires, fears, and motivations, all while remaining in control of our actions. One of the most powerful aspects of emotional mastery is the ability to cultivate equanimity, the state of being mentally and emotionally steady, even in the face of hardship or challenge. It is the practice of remaining grounded in your sense of self, regardless of external circumstances. By building emotional resilience, you become less susceptible to the ups and downs that life inevitably brings. Whether it's the praise or criticism of others, the loss of something dear, or a sudden shift in fortune, you learn to face each situation with calmness and poise. You understand that emotions, while valid, do not have to define your responses or your sense of self-worth. When you are not ruled by emotion, you become more intentional in your choices and actions. Rather than reacting to the moment, you act with purpose. You make decisions that are in alignment with your long-term goals, your values, and your vision for your life, not based on temporary emotional states. You become less vulnerable to the fluctuations of the external world and more attuned to the steady voice of your inner wisdom. To be emotionally free is to acknowledge emotions as part of the human experience, but to also realize that they are not who you are. You are not your anger, your sadness, or your fear. You are the observer of these emotions, the one who can choose how to respond. This detachment from the grip of emotion creates inner peace, as you no longer allow the turbulence of your feelings to disrupt your calm center. You learn to respond to life with clarity, wisdom, and equanimity, making decisions that serve your highest good. Never being the slave to emotion is not about suppressing or denying feelings. It is about mastering the ability to observe, understand, and choose how to act in the face of them. By practicing emotional intelligence, you empower yourself to respond with wisdom, to remain true to your values, and to navigate life's challenges with grace and resilience. It is through this mastery that we cultivate a deeper sense of peace, knowing that we are not at the mercy of our emotions, but instead have the ability to choose our path, regardless of the storms that may arise within us. 7. Never lose sight of your purpose. In the course of our lives, we are often faced with distractions, obstacles, and uncertainties that can cloud our vision. The path to our goals may not always be straight, and it's easy to become sidetracked by the challenges or allure of things that do not align with our true purpose. Yet it is imperative that we never lose sight of that which gives our lives meaning, the deeper, underlying purpose that drives us. This purpose is not just a goal to be achieved or an external destination to be reached. It is the guiding principle that shapes every decision, every action, and every part of our journey. To lose sight of your purpose is to lose yourself in the noise of everyday life. It is to forget why you started, to lose the connection between your present actions and the vision that you once held for your future. Life will present countless opportunities and temptations, many of which will promise satisfaction or success. Some may be enticing, while others may present a sense of urgency, pushing you toward paths that seem beneficial in the short term but ultimately stray from the path that aligns with your deepest values. When you lose sight of your purpose, you risk wasting your time, energy, and resources on things that may not serve your higher vision. You may end up achieving what others expect of you or what society defines as success, but still find yourself feeling empty, disconnected, and unfulfilled. A purpose is something deeply personal and individual. It comes from within based on your values, your passions, your talents, and the contributions you wish to make to the world. It is the compass that directs you through difficult times, providing the resilience to continue when the road gets tough. When you lose sight of your purpose, you become like a ship adrift on an open sea, subject to the whims of the wind and the tides, unable to steer yourself toward any meaningful destination. It is in staying focused on your purpose that you find strength and direction. Even when things seem uncertain, your purpose acts as a beacon, lighting your way and keeping you grounded in what truly matters. Purpose is not just a lofty ideal, it is what gives meaning to your daily actions. Each task, whether small or large, becomes part of a larger narrative, a narrative that is shaped by your commitments, your vision, and the impact you wish to have. When you keep your purpose in focus, the mundane and the challenging parts of life take on a different significance. You begin to see every effort, every decision, as part of the bigger picture, as a piece of the puzzle that leads you toward your ultimate goals. Even when faced with setbacks, you remain grounded in the belief that these obstacles are not roadblocks, but rather learning experiences that will contribute to your growth and understanding. There will always be times of doubt and frustration. The path to fulfilling your purpose is rarely easy, and there are inevitable moments when the rewards seem distant or unclear. It's easy to become disheartened, especially when external circumstances are unfavorable or when your progress seems slow. However, these are the times when your purpose becomes most important. When you keep your purpose in mind, you develop perseverance. You learn to stay committed, not because the journey is easy, but because it is meaningful. Purpose gives you the courage to keep moving forward even when the results are not immediately visible. It helps you to stay focused on the long-term vision and prevents you from being overwhelmed by temporary challenges or setbacks. The temptation to deviate from your purpose can come in many forms. You may be offered opportunities that sound attractive or promising, but they may not be in alignment with your deeper aspirations. These distractions can be seductive, particularly when they promise success, approval, or material gain. Yet, if you abandon your true purpose in pursuit of something else, you may end up losing your sense of fulfillment and satisfaction. The fulfillment derived from external achievements is often fleeting, while the satisfaction of pursuing a purpose that is true to your soul is enduring and profound. When you remain true to your purpose, you can look back on your life with a sense of pride and accomplishment, knowing that you gave everything to that which was most important to you. The power of purpose is transformative. It not only helps you navigate the challenges and uncertainties of life, but it also inspires and motivates those around you. When you are clear about your purpose, your actions reflect it, and others can see that sense of direction in everything you do. Your purpose becomes a source of energy, not only for you but for others who are drawn to your authenticity, your commitment, and your vision. People are inspired by those who live with purpose because they remind us of the power of intention and clarity in a world that is often chaotic and confused. To never lose sight of your purpose is to live with intentionality. It is about continuously aligning your actions with your values, staying focused on what truly matters, and having the courage to say no to things that pull you away from your path. It requires discipline, self-awareness, and the ability to make difficult decisions when necessary. But above all, it requires a deep understanding of why you do what you do and a commitment to seeing that purpose through, no matter the obstacles or temptations that may arise. Purpose also requires patience. We live in a world that often values immediate results and quick fixes, but true fulfillment comes from the slow, steady work of pursuing something that is meaningful over the long term. Your purpose is not something that can be achieved overnight. It requires time, effort, and often sacrifices along the way. However, every step taken in alignment with your purpose, no matter how small, moves you closer to realizing your potential and leaving a meaningful legacy. At times, you may encounter people who question your purpose or doubt your vision. They may challenge you, criticize your choices, or suggest that you pursue something different. It is important to remember that your purpose is yours alone. No one else can define it for you, and no one else can walk your path. Stay grounded in your vision. Trust yourself and have the courage to follow through, even when the road is difficult. Those who are meant to support you will appear, and those who do not understand your journey are not the ones you need to impress.